Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another podcast of Roof It Up. Another episode. Sorry about that. Another episode of Roof It Up. And I'm really excited, like if you're seeing this on the screen or if you're literally listening, we got the man, literally the ultimate man. He is incredible. If you've gone to events, you'll see his booth. And I'm literally, you'll know what we're talking about. Like this bowl, like the podcast is awesome. All this other stuff, you're gonna listen. I'm really excited to have Matthew here. Matthew Mulholland. Oh my gosh, I'm dying. I'm so glad we can edit this. Mulholland. Oh, my English so bad. Mulholland, right?
Mulholland. You got
Mulholland. Okay, and I love Holland. I've been there. It was like one of the best trips I've ever been. I was there for a month. Okay, so glad we can edit this, but now we're good. All right. So we have him here with us. First of all, he has an epic beard. I just think men with epic beards, you guys are just freaking badass. It's awesome. So Matthew, welcome to the show. Can you let everyone know a little bit about who you are? And I'm sure everyone knows who you are, but go ahead, share with them. We're super stoked that you're here with us. So yeah, Matthew, take the mic. Go for it.
Yep. I'm Matt Mulholland with a company called Listen to This Bull and Building Experts Institute. I was a roofer starting off in the industry, became a public adjuster, had the largest PA firm in Georgia before I sold that in order to be able to pursue being an educator, which is what I do now. So I teach PAs and contractors, do a little bit of consulting, and I have that podcast, Listen to This Bull. That's a little bit about me. There's a lot more we could talk about. Who I am and strain.
No, I went to an event and you had like a shooter. You had like something like that. It was crazy. I don't remember exactly what it was. You always have these amazing gadgets. I feel like you're like Mr. Gadget.
It's the hail cannon. So we have a couple of them.
I loved it.
And that's my little shit cannon, which is an acronym. I didn't just curse, just so you know.
What's the acronym?
Hail into things. So
brilliant. Very good. Okay, so Matthew, question for you. Can you share your journey a little bit in the property claims industry, like for the roofing, from roofers to founding the largest public adjuster firm in Georgia? Like what inspired this like entire transition? Like what inspired all that?
Inspired the economy, right? So in 2007, there was that Great Recession, and it was a little bit harmful to people doing the kind of things that I was doing, which wasn't. I had a few businesses before that ended up failing as a result of that economy. But the storm damage industry is recession proof. And so when I was invited to go take a look at things from a roofing contractor, he wanted me to come out and just see what was going on. He was going to go around with me. And so I took that opportunity. I went out with him one day, or went out to go with him one day. He didn't go with me after all. He just told me to go around and get some appointments. Set 5 appointments, and then tomorrow I'll run the appointments with you. So I set 7 appointments, and
nice.
Didn't go run the appointments with me. He had something else to do apparently. Told me what I should do on those. So I inspected 7 properties. I signed up 5 of them. He gave me some glorious bullshit. And I didn't know at the time it was BS, but anyway, I signed up 5 of them and then filed insurance claims on them, and he was going to meet the adjusters with me. And then he didn't do that either. So that worked back then, though. You had to figure everything out on your own. So I started my own roofing company within 6 months of getting involved doing that. I think I won all 5 of those, or maybe I lost one of them right away, but things were a little bit easier back then. But, knocking on doors is not something that I enjoy. So I did not enjoy doing that as a roofer, but I was a roofer for quite some time. We had a fairly small company, but we were a little bit boutique. We were doing residential roofs. When I found out what a public adjuster was, I realized that I acted more like a public adjuster than a contractor. I got that license, started a PA firm, and left my roofing company to my partner. And my PA firm was called All Good Adjustments in Georgia. We became fairly large fairly quickly when it became apparent that we were really good. dealing with insurance claims, but also making friends on the other side. So
Ah,
Georgia's a tough state. It's probably, I would argue, I would fight any of you. Georgia's the worst state for insurance.
mm,
Wisconsin's probably a close second, and maybe Delaware's in that discussion as well. But in the state of Georgia, there's no consumer protections really, and appraisals broken. You can even go to appraisal. So you have to win the claim by being really good at presenting the claim. We develop processes and procedures to do that. We were handling about 3,000 claims a year.
that's an
And
incredible number. Like,
it's too
that's a lot of freaking claims. Oh my gosh. Wow. I knew you were good, but I was like, damn, you're really good, Matthew. Like, you're really good.
So
Man.
we got burnt out, obviously. But we transferred at some point to doing strictly commercial, large loss, and fire claims for monetary reasons, shrank back down to a reasonable amount of PAs. And I sold that company to another PA firm and moved to Florida.
Nice.
The National Claims Institute,
Which
is where I met you.
Yes. And a really great building, by the way. Loved it. Very nice.
Cool. Yeah, that bar was something. We took apart a I don't remember what they're called, but if you go into a courtroom, all the court dais, they auctioned off a whole court dais. So we took it apart and made a bar out of it for the National Claims Institute. That was one of the coolest things ever. I like to build stuff. So we had a brick and mortar school for a number of years. It was going pretty well, and we had some certifications out of there. I ended up leaving due to some partnership differences and opened up the Building Experts Institute, which is an online school where you have a lot of go at your own pace stuff with extremely high quality broadcasting, cinematography. We want it to feel like you're going to a master class.
That's awesome.
The training that's on there is as in depth as it can possibly get. We just dropped Xactimate training, and it's all membership based. So you become a member for $109 a month, and you get access to everything that's on there with that same price, including Xactimate training. You can't get that anywhere else.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That is like world class, like education. Like the value is a lot. Like that's a huge amount of value for $109 a month. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think we're making a few people mad with that price.
Man, nicely done. No. Man, yeah, that's awesome. Okay. So a question. So handling 3,000 claims annually, selling your company for education. How has this shaped your view of the property claims industry, and what lessons did you learn through it?
Well, that's a good question, actually. If you've ever taught anybody anything, you realize that you really have to break it down into its basics so you start to understand what your role is better when you start teaching. So when you get to the point where you feel like there's not much more for you to learn, you need to start teaching, and you'll start learning a lot more.
Oh, that's good.
There's a benefit to not being directly involved in a public adjusting firm anymore as well. I didn't anticipate. So when you pull yourself out of actually doing the day-to-day job, you get to see a broader picture, and things start to develop a little bit more. Now, within my company, we tracked a lot of information. The spreadsheets were miles long, so we could actually see what small tweaks that we would do in our process and how that would change the outcome. But after getting out of that, I'm able to see even broader, and among other states, we could see the systemic differences from one company to the next a little bit easier. I've been able to make some connections that I don't think I would have come across anytime soon if I was buried inside an individual claim on a day-to-day. There are regional changes to how claims processing happens. If you ever go on LinkedIn and you start arguing that insurance companies are doing this, if you specify that one insurance company is doing this or doing that, you might get some opposition from defense counsels from the insurance carriers, and they'll say there's no way in hell that company would do that nationwide. And if you read between the lines, that means that they're not disagreeing that they're doing it locally. They're just not going to do that nationwide. So there are little pockets of areas where these insurance companies are utilizing strategies they should not be using, somewhat unethical, very unethical.
Oh, I can
They're doing
imagine.
it small enough pockets that they could reasonably say that that wasn't our plan as a company. It was something that the local management team or local team
Hmm.
came up with, and we put an end to it. And that way they can't get in trouble as a whole. And there's a lot of that going on. And you can start to see when one state starts having these kinds of issues that you can start to see it spread from that state to other states. A lot of people will say that whatever happens in Florida or Texas is going to happen everywhere else soon. And
Mm-hmm.
I am going to tell you the stuff that happens in the low leverage states like Georgia, where there's no consumer protections, that's the stuff that ends up finding its way to Florida before you even find out about it.
Huh.
So
Interesting.
it's those smaller states and what's going on there that you really ought to pay attention to. They're going to attempt to do it in Florida, and if they can get away with it in Florida, then it'll spread everywhere else as well. But they're going to try it
Mm.
out in different places first. So there's some interesting things out there that happen.
So good. And I love how you were talking about how you have like you're data driven, right? So I'm seeing as well, like you, from what I'm picking up, like one, you like to build things, which is great. But I also love how you had so much data, and decision making based on data is so important. And now that you're out, like you're able to take even more of a step back, like the data doesn't lie typically, right? And then also you're able to step back and say, okay, actually it's not the big states you're really going to have to worry about. We need to see what's happening in the smaller areas, because that's the test run for the larger states, right? And then once those get approved, they go nationwide. Is that right? Is that what I'm understanding there?
Yeah, I mean, you should look at
Wild.
what's going on in all the states. Don't get me wrong,
Right,
but
right.
don't ignore the small states just because it's happening in an obscure location doesn't mean that it isn't going to start happening everywhere else. So keep an eye on that kind of stuff. We try
Good
to
stuff.
expose as much of that as possible with a segment on the Listen to This Bull YouTube channel called Breaking Bull, where it's like breaking news or things that we've noticed that are happening. So the biggest issue right now that honestly started in Georgia is the idea that appraisal and amount of loss wouldn't include differences of scope. And that is starting to find its way from state to state to state. And there's a big push to change the appraisal laws in Texas, and scope is part of that argument now as well. But the reality is, to determine how much a loss is worth, you have to determine the scope of repairs, the scope of damages, the scope of coverages. What
Right.
they don't say is what they mean when they say scope. Are they talking about one or all of those things, or are they talking about mouthwash? We really don't know.
Huh.
So it can be, that's it's just an example that started in Georgia, and State Farm is attempting to push the idea that differences of scope are not appraisable in every state, regardless of whether there's case law against that in those states or not. So these things happen and they spread, and you can't ignore those small states. It's going to happen in the bigger states soon.
So powerful. It's like educating yourself is so powerful. And yeah, I'm super excited for you to share as well at the end. Again, one more time, like where viewers can go to sign up for the classes, the schools, like all that stuff. So it'll be great. Okay, question. As a founder and former dean of the National Claims Institute and founder of the Building Experts Institute, can you explain their significance and what prompted their establishment?
Well, one of my major goals in starting my educational career was really to establish a better baseline. There's a lot of bad information that is provided to this industry from engineering firms that have been doing testing and things since the 60s, but the testing that they're doing isn't real science. If a rule of thumb of what hail damage can do based on its size comes from a data set that has 10 data points, that's a problem. Identifying what hail can do based on its terminal velocity, when every thunderstorm that produces hail has a significant amount of wind, it has to produce the wind.
Right.
To produce the hail. It's required to have a certain amount of wind to produce hail. That
Yeah.
amount of uplift has an equal and opposite reaction of a lot of downdraft, and that downdraft is completely ignored in the science. Measuring things like the size of hail based on spatter marks, there's 3 data points for that. 3. You would not pass middle school with science at that level, and that's what's being utilized to make claims decisions nationwide. So the very first set of courses that we taught at National Claims Institute, we're doing the exact same thing at Building Experts Institute, is a set of inspection courses that teaches all the things that benefit the policyholders as well as all the other information. Everywhere else you can get a certification for that kind of thing seems to leave off the stuff that would benefit policyholders. So we're attempting to set a better baseline. Building Experts Institute is pretty interesting. We're treating it like a music label. We're bringing in experts in everything. The musicians that you've never heard of, these experts that are really, truly the experts in the field, aren't necessarily the ones that you've seen on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram. They're the ones that are actually still doing that, but they don't have the time or the energy or the ability to put together the training that they really could be the best at providing to you. So we are going out of our way to help them to establish some kind of a training that they will be able to give that is actually palatable by the people in this industry. We're going out there, we're helping them produce that, bringing them in, we're shooting it, we're producing it, we're cutting it, we're editing it, we're marketing it, and we're publishing it onto a membership site. And that membership site is young, and so there's not that many things on there. But the things that are on there are groundbreaking. So
super. And you mentioned it was like a masterclass. So if most of us have heard of masterclass, actually our company is signed up for masterclass. We actually have that for our team to be able to have access and log in and stuff, because we are huge believers of, constant learning. So masterclass is awesome. It really makes it really palatable, right? Like you're learning something from experts, but not like a boring process. It's like you make it really enjoyable. So I love that you guys are doing that. Yes. Yeah. It makes you feel emotion and you're like, yes. Okay, cool. I love that you guys are doing that. And if you're listening, like masterclass, if you're like, wait, it's incredible. So very cool. I'm very happy that you guys are doing that. That's really powerful. Cool. Love it. Okay. I'll let you continue. I know that you were, and like, it prompted you to like establish this, right? That's kind of, you wanted to make something different where it's not, where you're really taking these experts that, like you said, they're still in the field, they're still doing it, but they don't have the time, or maybe this is not their sphere of, creating, but that's something that you guys are fantastic at. And you're really bringing this incredible value to the viewers.
Everybody is able to teach everybody something, you
right.
put a camera in somebody's face and sometimes they don't do so well. We have attempted to do that with a few people that had a hard time. And we've done things on how to do this properly. It's a lot easier to teach a class in person. It's a lot faster. You could put a class together and teach someone in person like in a matter of days, but being able to create that and put it online and make sure that it's not full of bullcrap is very time consuming. So
wow,
about one class a month, which doesn't sound like a lot, but the classes are 4 to 5 hours a piece, some of them more. And that takes a hell of a lot of work.
I was like, that's hundreds of hours of work behind the scene. Hundreds.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And it's beautiful and it's engaging. So it's not an expensive thing, but the goal there is to actually establish better training that actually has the information that is left out by biased parties. And hopefully we can start enticing both sides to get training from this. So with the Xactimate training, I think we'll pull in some IAs and from there, they'll start to take a look at the inspection protocol trainings that we're putting out.
This is groundbreaking. I feel like this is very groundbreaking. Like in the industry, this is groundbreaking. Like this is freaking awesome. This is legit. Like, please, like, I'll have our team connect with you. Like, we want to definitely promote more of this on our platforms, just to get people going that way. Cause we know the quality and like that you, Matthew, and your team are. And so this is freaking groundbreaking and It's so needed. So very excited. I'm excited to even check it out too. I'm like excited about that. Very cool. Congratulations. Like that is a freaking huge win. And I love how you're like non-biased. Yeah. Like it's information that's good for all. Like it's for everyone to win, right? Like we want everyone to we want them to win.
We've got some training on there that is somewhat biased for policyholders as well. I've got a course on there called Defeating Unethical Engineer Tactics, and it's designed to combat engineers hired by insurance carriers. And a lot of those larger firms will do some interesting things, and the engineers that are being sent out don't even realize how they're being utilized in a way that leads to an inappropriate denial. So that class is 8 full hours that really gets into exactly how that works and how to overcome it, or really truly avoid the denial altogether. And you would consider that a biased course because it is specifically one-sided, and we will have courses like that, but we'll also have courses specifically for IAs on there.
Good.
Once we get that established. So
awesome.
It's not completely unbiased, but it's going to be balanced.
Love it. Balance is key. Okay, very cool. Okay, so this is kind of the last question we have for you. It's like, with your experience, you're often invited to industry events. We see you a lot of places. You're so great at what you do. Like you're invited everywhere. It's awesome. You're freaking fantastic. So what's a crucial topic message do you like emphasize, and what takeaways do you hope professionals gain from your speaking engagements? Like, what is your goal? Like, because I know this is purpose driven as well. You're not just like, Matthew, you're not, from what I'm picking up, you're not just like, I just want to be popular. I'm just gonna like you. Sometimes I see you on social media. There's some, like you have no problem. Like there's some back and forth, right? Like you'll go at it. So what is like your main, like, this is what moves me, what drives me. Like, this is why I do what I do.
Everything that we teach everybody in this industry ends up helping policyholders. And I've had so many clients get screwed by not just the insurance companies, but by other public adjusters and contractors and everybody involved. The whole process, their home is destroyed and they're in a position where they are getting beat up from every angle. And if we can have a better process out there, teach contractors, public adjusters to be better, teach IAs to look for the right things and not ignore certain stuff, and show the insurance industry that we are professionals, it will make a huge difference. I think the biggest problem that contractors and PAs have is that they half-ass their job. And it's not that it's a hard job, but it can be time consuming, and it's exciting to go to the next property and get the next one going instead of finishing your job on this one and submitting it. I got to tell you, if you do your job right up front, the claims don't take as long. And the policyholder doesn't get hurt as much. And you don't end up as angry at night at the insurance company for not approving something that you think is obvious when you didn't really explain it to them properly. One thing that I think that contractors are going to end up finding out, and something that I teach contractors specifically, is that they need to be the experts. Engineers are sent out as an expert, and when an expert is sent out, they usually write a report. Well, contractors are going out as an expert. Are they writing reports? They're sending something in, but it's usually just photos. Photos is not a report. So it's going to take time. You're going to have to sit down and actually write something by hand.
Yeah.
You're going to type some stuff out. But if you do that and you actually put together what's called a trade statement, which is your expert opinion of what's going on, bullet points. This is why we think it was hail. This is why we think it was on this date. Very simple. Not really long, doesn't have to be an engineer type report, but something with your summary and conclusions, that makes a huge difference. But it does force you to slow down before you do anything. And don't half-ass that beginning part. There's so much more that can be done in the beginning that speeds everything up and provides a better outcome for the policyholders. We can be better.
Yeah.
The laws are not getting better for us because we're not being better. We need to be better. So let's do that. Get better.
Yeah, it's almost like a mind shift, right? Where they're really going to have to decide to say, this is going to take some additional time in the beginning, but you're going to do it with excellence. And in return, you're going to have less headaches. You're going to actually have more time back, and you're actually going to have more success because you are doing it the right way. Because maybe not half-assing it looks successful because they're getting a lot more going like shit. But if you actually take a look at the overall, man, you missed out on a lot. You screwed up a lot. Like, you've wasted so much time having to go back and forth. So it's like, it's really a mind shift of like, no, we were going to do things with excellence. And that's going to,
everybody is, they're passive
Yeah.
here. They want to react and instead of being proactive on this. So let's see
Right.
what it comes back at, and then we'll fight whatever crap that they say. Well, you didn't prove the loss.
Right.
What's
Yeah.
your job?
It's just, yeah, it's do it right the first time. It's long-term game. That's super powerful. No, powerful. All right, Matthew. Well, seriously, thank you so much for coming on today. Could you let the audience know where they can reach you, like all your platforms, and also if as you're listening, when whichever ones you want to, we'll actually put them. We'll do a drop down and then have all of Matthew's contacts on there as well. So it'll be a really easy click for you guys that are listening. All right, so Matthew, go ahead. How can they get a hold of you? How can they join your courses, all that good stuff, and listen to you on your podcast?
I do live courses and private trainings for teams through Listen to This Bull. You can go to listentothisbull.com for that. I do consultation there as well. You can find all that information on that website. Building Experts Institute is online, pre-recorded. That's the masterclass stuff. So it's all go at your own pace. It's not live. And you can find that at buildingexperts.institute. And you can become a member for $109 a month to get access to all of it for that one price, and go at your own pace and do whatever it is you want. We'll drop new stuff every month. I do most of my social media interaction is on Facebook, but you can find me on Facebook as Matthew, only spelled with one T. That's where people have a hard time. Matthew Mulholland. But I'm also on Instagram. YouTube is Listen to This Bull. LinkedIn. If you guys are not on LinkedIn, that is the most fun. The carriers are on LinkedIn. They're the ones that are writing. You want to have some fun? The carriers have goals on there. It's fun. LinkedIn is the most fun. But you can find most stuff there. TikTok, I have a TikTok channel, Listen to This Bull. So if you're looking for me, you're either looking for Listen to This Bull, my name, Matthew Mulholland, or Building Experts Institute.
Love it. So thankful for your time. Truly, Matthew, we really, really are so thankful for you. We're really proud of you as well. Our whole team is cheering for you, and we love seeing everything that you're doing, and we're 100% behind you. So
Thanks.
Super excited. All right, Matthew. Well, everyone, thanks for listening, and we'll see you on our next episode.